I have really gotten a lot of excitement from this continuous improvement work. I think because as a former classroom teacher, that's what my job was to look at data and improve performance, improve, learning, improve achievement.
We are constantly thinking about how do we improve our practice. We use data and other information to do that.
We understand so much more about good teaching than we understood 30 years ago. There's been far more research that identifies practices of teaching that can have a phenomenal effect on students. And we're also growing a much greater knowledge base about what it takes to teach teaching to people.
The school districts are also changing. Their expectations are changing. The demand they put on teachers are different than ever, so we have to evolve.
Fundamental to an institution of higher education is that reflection and that ongoing learning and that ongoing improvement.
We asked our candidates, what is the type of feedback that you're receiving? How many times are you receiving that feedback? What is the quality of the feedback that you're receiving? Is the feedback actually helping you improve your practice? And what we found initially was that our candidates were reporting they're not receiving actionable feedback. And so we really had to pivot what we did in the area of providing feedback.
We began to do some initial investigating around, well, what tools are different programs using and how different are they? What are the things we're measuring and how does that look across programs? And we found that there was a lot of variation. Some supervisors would provide a sentence and some would provide 3 pages of written feedback. And so we really wanted to, through this continuous improvement work, really kind of try and control that variation as much as we could.
We identified our high leverage practices as the practices that the state was saying are most essential to instruction in the state of California. And we distilled our instrument down to the 14 that are most salient to teaching, that are most visible in practice, and we created an instrument that identifies a continuum of how that would look in a classroom setting.
Our candidates are typically reporting that they do not feel as prepared in certain areas, and 2 of those particular areas were supporting emergent bilinguals and using assessment. And so what we did last year was we structured our supervisor trainings all around supporting emergent bilinguals so that our supervisors really got a lot of information about what we were looking for in the classroom when it came to that particular prioritized skill. And similarly, this year we're focusing on assessment because that is another one of our areas of need.
I am so struck with their deep understanding of these transformational elements, their deep understanding of the processes that their teams have engaged in to improve their own practice.
California is a state known for innovation, adventurousness, courage, willingness to work collaboratively. It partly grows out of the history and the culture of the state, its diversity, which is so immensely rich, and it's also the fact that the system, such as it is both diverse and also a system.
The deans share best practices, share problems of practice with one another. Faculty have established and practice a culture of working across the system because they recognize that there are different sets of expertise and there is a sense of responsibility for sharing that and a sense of joy in sharing that.
The faculty has been part of the program, have the way they talk about what is needed to prepare new teachers is different than it was. It's much more nuanced, it's much more contextualized.
We have really become more cohesive. We're using similar language when we're talking about practice. We have a similar lens. We are focusing on the things that are really important. It's like a climate change almost in our unit, where we see this as a regular part of our practice.
When you imagine all of these teacher preparation programs collaborating in the state of California to think directly about the quality of professional training, you can see the magnifier effect.
These practices are being spread across the other preparation programs within the colleges or schools and sustained over time to improve the quality of teacher preparation in our system. And that's the power of the CSU. That is heartening, that's encouraging, it's giving me optimism about the next generation of teachers that we're preparing.